Welcome back, audience. Hope you're doing good, as always. Cheers. Mm-mm-mm. My little green tea. Okay, so I was talking about the highest point of leverage in the last video. In this video, I want to talk about immovable object and unstoppable force. I was talking about this in a astrophysics way, and I was talking about neutron star and black hole and how those are the results of successful alchemical process within the star. And I also talked about unsuccessful process within the star. And the reason I want to talk about this, I want to bring it back to daily life, because talking about this, oh, that's pretty cool, but like, is this applicable to you in your life? That's an important question. So I just want to talk about the movable object and what does it mean first, and that's obviously masculine. So in life there could be two types of masculine: the resilient and stubborn, the ego masculine or the soul masculine. Okay, now soul masculine is rare, because the only way you can acquire soul masculine is through the philosopher's stone. Okay, so if the only way is through the alchemy, then if a man is not alchemizing energies, then by that definition his masculinity, if he chooses to be masculine, is going to be about being stubborn. And what does the stubbornness mean? Stubbornness means somebody defending a belief system. It is like you believing, that some ridiculous thing. Superstition is another thing. Okay? And if that has energy, somebody has to give that energy. Somebody has to believe that spell for it to be working. Okay? And then it works if somebody believes that, within that frame of the hallucination and delusion, of collective delusion and hallucination, right? And one of the things that they may say is like, well, everything is beliefs because they live in the belief systems. Like, everything is belief. Like, let's just believe this, and let's just get other people to believe this, and let's just live in this little belief bubble, creating this, vampire and zombie dens, which is usually what ends up being in the belief system. So on that belief system is a bit of like an escape from the matrix, sometimes people call, but they actually go into the worst trap. I don't know how would you call that, but that is the matrix. Except that you may be having a way of alleviating your suffering through Luciferian light. Okay? So now if people, all they know is this masculine that is stubborn and does not want to move on the belief system, right? Then when somebody meets somebody who cannot be moved, because the stubbornness can be moved, when the truth comes, the stubbornness breaks. The truth will always break the belief system. And I just want to be very clear about what the truth is. It's not my truth or your truth. I should say, my truth or your truth. It just doesn't work like that. That is a belief. We can play with all sorts of pretends and role plays, sure, only when the truth is in the background. If there's no truth in the background and you play pretend, you believe that it is so, and now you're immersed as if it's really so, and you have to defend it with your life, some sort of fucking belief system. So that's the trap side of it, and that includes all sorts of spiritual events. And this is why, look, like before I wasn't recommending to do any kind of psychedelics in the group settings. Now I don't recommend participating in any kind of ceremonial or spiritual, anything to do in a group setting. I've said it before, but I do not recommend that. Okay? If there is a some sort of if it's we're talking about some sort of energy exchange that's going on in a group setting, don't go. This is my recommendation. Don't go. Connect with the people that vibe on your on your vibe or your frequency, and congregate around some art that you like together, some science, nothing quote unquote spiritual, because all of them, I have to say, all of the spiritual groupings are cults. All of them. There is no spiritual grouping that is not a cult. Okay? Because as you can see, if you are alchemizing the energy, you can see how individual it is. And you also can see that another person in front of you must have their own sovereign access to source for you to be able to congregate and play and create from the heart, from the soul. Okay? And then you can see that the creative process and playful process, nothing to do with the spirit. The spirit was the most deeply personal thing, the deeply most individual thing, so deep that you got to put all of your attention at the source of the disorder for the order to appear. So, that's the alchemy principle. And it's very clear that, like, when you pop on the other side, okay, let's create and play. There's no need to seek some sort of spirit. If somebody seeks the spirit, whatever that may be, you can get high on a lot of things, but that's not going to be the sobriety, clarity, because the sobriety and clarity, when it's deeply profound, it has all these features of a drug, but it doesn't have intoxicating and hazing and cloudy type of effects that drugs do have when, because it impairs something, right? It may open something up and impair the another thing. And like I said, I'm not against it. I'm saying that for somebody to visit a place, that spirit world, just to be able to touch that and to see, like, okay, that there's something deeper to life, and then you go and live your life, and you have to grow up to that point that you've experienced in that psychedelic trip. It must happen through your life and through your alchemy and devotion. So that's healthy. To keep relying upon it, it is not healthy. Because again, you're looking for this next high. Okay, so I hope I'm communicating, and I hope also I'm saying that anybody who keeps that belief system in the root of belief system and seeks the pacification of it, still has the belief system. And in the face of the truth, they will start burning. So, okay, so let me say something about this immovable object. When you're alchemizing, there appears to be indeed some sort of feeling of a crystal or something at somewhere in your heart. Not the physical heart, but like the center of your consciousness. And whenever you are attentive of it, if anything is trying to block it, it is a type of Negredo stage, but past going through Negredo stages, when it starts shining, you are attentive of it in the background, and then it creates this spirit. Sometimes people call it perfume. This energy that is sort of moving and dancing in its own subtle ways. That real energy that contains all the aspects of all the positive aspects of the drug, together with the complete clarity and sobriety. Okay? So what people searching in the high, it is here minus all of that negative side of trying to seek the high. So that's how much more worth it to go through the eye of a needle. And another thing, for example, if you ever seen like a freshly open spirit bottle, alcohol, let's say, like highly concentrated, and if you look at it at the top, if it's a cap, it's a bottleneck, you can see it's sort of evaporating and creating these beautiful lines or something that you can feel. You can see it like that's radiating and just creating those, right, that flickering of whatever is in the background of that thing. And so that flickering is that spirit. That's another way I would describe it. But of course, it's not the eye that you're sensing it with, but with your heart. It is a type of listening and is a type of seeing, which is the two capacities of your soul. And so whenever you're seeing that philosopher's stone, that crystal, that diamond, and listening, it emanates this energy that it feels the most amazing feelings that you've ever felt. And that is the basis of your reality. So that crystal cannot be moved. Okay? That crystal cannot be moved. And because it cannot be moved, now of course, as an alchemist, you have to keep on placing the attention and keeping your vigilance and diligence. Diligence, not vigilance. What the hell are you talking about? Diligence, vigilance, and avoiding negligence. Negligence is when you move away the attention from it. Does that make sense? Like, my body and my mind can function independently of my attention. My attention can be placed there while I'm talking. And it always belongs there, by the way. And whenever like that perfume, that emanation starts emanating, you don't want to leave that. And that's why it's very easy for the attention not to leave that anymore. Sometimes whenever you're in front of other energies, they try to take you out of it. They try to get you into the like old ways of analyzing things and trying to figure things out. But you always have to double down just on the pure alchemy. And don't look there Don't look somewhere where it turns you into stone. Keep on just bringing the attention back, and if you put all the attention back and it's burning, then it's burning, right? And so that's what I've noticed, that like now a lot of people become the alchemical catalyst. Before I had this view that's like, oh, we have to help people and all that stuff, but now I don't think like that. I'll explain why I don't think like that. I think that a lot of people who live like in a backwards way is a potential fuel for the alchemy. I've also have like this theory, because right now it's just a theory. I just have my direct observation. If there's many more people would observe that and then say like, yes, I observed the same thing, then maybe that would be confirmation. But right now I'm trying to see in my own consciousness what is the truth. And by the way I define the truth is something that is unchangeable. Okay? Sometimes people say the void is unchangeable, the black hole, the awareness itself, the fabric, the quantum field from which the reality arises, right? They say that, but that is no thing yet, right? I'm interested in what is that thing that is not changeable, that is the first thing that's born out of it that never changes. And that is that structure of consciousness, that code of the structure of consciousness that never changes. I don't want to go beyond that now, okay? Because that's enough. But the reality is that in this game that we're playing, there's something that never changes. And this is a structure. It is a structure. It is a code, if you will. The primordial code that never changes. And if the reality is disconnected from that code, and the code is written not based on this primordial code, it's going to be corrupt code. It's going to be belief system. So the discovery of something that never changes gives you that immovability and true masculine that cannot be moved. Not I don't talk like physically, but wherever you go, the center is there and cannot be moved by any lie, by anything, and everything in the contrast of the truth stands out like a sore thumb as a lie. And I don't care how nice people are trying to be, and how hard they work to sugarcoat the fact that they're living a lie. I don't. Like, it's not even a matter of opinion. It's just that in a background of the truth, it sticks out something as a lie. And so, yeah, so what did you try to sugarcoat it? It can still be seen, obviously, as just BS. And that's the thing. Upon discovery of the truth, you see all the BS. But it must be something that is immovable. If it can be burned up, if it can be moved, then it's not it. It is something that upon movement outside of you, emotional movements outside of you, this cannot be moved. And this is why if you always put attention on that center, if there's like some disorder happening outside, you put attention on that center, it's going to, you're going to feel the process of alchemy. And upon completion of that alchemy, you're going to feel something that is steady and strong as and unchangeable. It's just like mining for the diamond. And that's what you use all that disorder that is seemingly, in other people or places. And in fact, it's, if you've ever seen like neutron star and black hole, they both eat matter. Matter is memory. And so in our hearts, the point of the whole game in our hearts is to be of no memory, only mystery, no memory. In the mind, body, memory has its place and should be used. The heart has no memory. Everything is fresh in the heart. Alive, dying, being reborn, dying, being reborn. And it can only happen whenever this philosopher's stone, neutron star, is fixed in the void black hole. And I've also noticed that there appears to be the growing in size. You may say, well, it's kind of infinite anyway. How can there be a size? Because size implies space and time. Yes, but like I said, this alchemy, this process, it is a type of growing your soul. And all this ego in this world, which is like broken energy, broken up code, it is a potential fuel to grow your soul. Okay, so that's the way we ought to look at this. So if somebody is quite dark, then it's a lot of potential for the alchemy, which obviously allows you to grow, allows you to have the immunity to this type of energy, and then eventually that person also gradually starts changing. Now that takes time. This is why don't expect that. But one of the things I want to communicate, you can sit with somebody and you can feel a lot of alchemical process, and you can alchemize all of that, and sure enough the person comes into their soul and becomes animated and awesome and everything, and you can have fun. Then they leave your field, they go in some sort of ceremony, some event, some kundalini, some tantra event or whatever, and they make you follow what they're doing. You follow what they're doing. They make you seek that Luciferian false light, and you're back to the square one again. And you meet this type of person again after some time, and you feel it like, what the fuck they've been doing? It's like you've never done any kind of alchemy. You know what I'm trying to say? But that's okay. It's fine. You continue your alchemy again, but not for the reason of that person to change. Okay? If you need to interact with somebody, you interact with them. If you can feel there's a process to alchemize, you have to listen to them with your heart, which is a process of alchemy. Then you do it. Okay? But not for that person to change, because like I said, they go back doing their own habit things, and then they're back to square one. I also want to say something. Sleep. The sleeping. Don't sleep. I mean, I'm talking about sleep. The sleeping is something that may reset your vibe. The sleeping is very important, because when you sleep on this planet Earth without the protection, you're automatically being put on the programming that is run in this matrix. This is why sometimes you can bring amazing vibes and everything and feel really cool, and then somebody may take a nap and everything that they just experienced is gone again. Or sometimes it happens to you. And sometimes, I take a nap, I wake up, and I'm like, it feels like I left my throne unattended. And so then I have to spend a little bit time of getting back on my throne. So sleep is very important to notice, because now I'm working of how to remain lucid in a sleep as a protection mechanism for having my body to rest and my mind to explore. And so I wake up in the morning, my vital energies are recharged, and I've used all of that energy, the spiritual energy, the mana energy, for creating whatever I want. That's how I'm looking at the sleep right now. And if I do remain lucid, I wake up in the morning with amazing mood and amazing vibe. If I don't become lucid. I wake up having dreams that may not be entirely positive. At this point, like, it seems that they're trying to do this thing, but there's part of me, it just does not believe in that anymore. Does that make sense? That there's no need to believe in anything. You just rely on the truth. And this is why, like, all the programming that's been tried to install, just really more like a vestige, and it's not really having any kind of effect. It's just like a measly attempt that has no emotional connotation there anymore. It's like a vestige just playing around, but it's not really affecting you anymore, on emotional and feeling level. So okay, so I just said about the sleep part of it. Also, the ceremonies, events that are spiritual part, those things can take a person out of their center. And immovable object as soul masculine. Okay, now people will attempt to take down that immovable thing, but it's not possible to take it down. As long as you remain attentive, you don't defend that necessarily with your words, but you may say words if it's necessary to say words, but it's not the words that is defending it. Because there is a calm and there's a peace and there's stability in your heart already, that this cannot be moved because you feel it cannot be moved. So you defend it with your energy, not the words. And so then environment will try to test you and to see if they can move that thing, because that's one of the ways. Okay, let me talk about something that is quite tangible and right now is what's going on in the society, I suppose, in the matrix. Like I said before, in the matrix is in the matrix you can say crooks and whores, and I don't mean just about sex, and I don't mean just about money. Okay, I mean about like that type of intentions on both sides. The corrupt feminine, the corrupt masculine. What the corrupt feminine may want to do, because the corrupt feminine cannot have their own confidence energy because it's a masculine energy. In the holistics, you acquire that masculine energy as a woman through devotion to a man, and as a man, you acquire that love energy through being a protective energy for love, right? So there's this exchange of energies through love, through making love. In Matrix, it is about deceit. So it is not about love. It is about deceit. It's about how to steal that energy, because the premise is that you're not going to receive that energy unless you steal it. Okay? Okay, you can see that everywhere. And so what a woman may try to do is to take that masculine energy from you, and that stubborn masculine energy can be taken away by the woman, because she may throw all sorts of things, try to criticize you, demean you, and all these kind of things. Now, that's the way she acquires the energy. When you feel sort of like defeated as a man, then she gets the confidence, and then she can use that confidence to pursue her goals and be successful. It's the energy thing. Okay, this is like I'm talking about like this phallic mother archetype. Okay, to obviously differentiate from material success, right? For example, or being good at some skill that perhaps is quite masculine, like logics as a woman. This is not, I'm not talking about that. I'm not against a woman having a masculine skill. I'm not against a man having feminine skill, because these are just skills. This is not the essence of your soul. This is not the essence of your heart. Okay? So that part I have no problems with, because it works. However, on the energy level, on that part, I do have a problem with the entire ego system. Not specifically with one person, just with the entire ego system. So when you see a woman trying to do all these things, and perhaps it used to work before you done your or engaged in alchemy, and perhaps there was something like losing your confidence because a woman is trying to undermine you. And also, by the way, um, they may do it subconsciously even. Some do it consciously, some do it subconsciously, but some know what they're doing and some they don't know what they're doing. But it's all sorts of ways that they're trying to get that energy, um, rejecting you even though they like you, you know, um, criticizing you, comparing you with other men and demeaning you, like all sorts of ways. Okay, they when a woman does like that, she operates from the ego, and there's nothing really there for you as a man. Only alchemy. Okay, it is like no longer having an emotional reaction to these things, and the only way you no longer have genuinely no longer have emotional reaction if you root it at your philosopher's stone at your center. You immediately see the motion of consciousness. You immediately see that there's a chemical process. You immediately alchemize everything that is there to alchemize, and you take their ego energy from them because they're playing a dangerous game. If they try to fuck with the alchemist like that, alchemist sees that as a uh, as a coal to mine for the diamond. And so the most vulnerable the opponent is when they're attacking you. Okay? And so when they're attacking you, you have all this potential. And sometimes it feels like when they cannot get to you, they try to attack you even further. And when that frustration, whatever that anger is attacking you, that's exactly when you can get that demon. Okay? So basically, you engage in sort of like a demon slaying when women are like that. And now that I know how it all works, I love this stuff. Like, I love it. Like, you can't, you can't, like, what's going on. You see what I'm trying to say? And women are almost programmed and conditioned is like, oh, the way to get the man is to emasculate him. And when he's so fucking weak and he just needs me so bad, then, I have him. You don't have shit. You don't have shit. You have something. Even if you get something like that, you don't even want it anymore. And then the truth is about this. It was never about the relationship. It was never about love. The truth is about energy. So when a woman looks at you as a potential energy for her confidence, she can be potential catalyst for the alchemy. Don't look for anything else in there. And also another thing I want to say. So something that never changes, but is not a void, and that is the truth. And it makes sure that everything that is coded in some harmonious way. Okay, and that's when all sorts of like ratios, like like this, Mandelbrot and Fibonacci ratios arise. It's because of that primordial structure that does not allow you to break the code. Okay, and that's nature, and that's what belongs in your soul. No memory, because anything that needs to be created is created spontaneously in a moment's notice, using the code of truth, and it's created. And then the body and the mind has its own memory, and that is static. Mystery memory, right? That is static, and it functions as it's supposed to function. Okay? And only that layer of the memory, all these mechanisms that ego was using in the soul, now are applicable. So, sometimes people like archangelic or archonic. And so that's what it is. The archonic is a static structure that can be broken, and it creates something static, which if you create something static in reality, in the next moment it becomes a lie. And that's what belief system is, and traditions and all that stuff. So you use it where it's applicable, but where they don't belong, you replace it with the archangelic structure, I suppose. But there's that the structure of the truth that never changing, okay? And that is the structure of consciousness itself, and that is the structure of consciousness for every being. That structure will remain. Okay? That structure will remain. And then it also, because of that structure, it generates the way of things. So you need to look at what kind of structure of consciousness, and you have to discover it for yourself, and you realize that it's universal. Everybody has the same structure of consciousness. Only the person who has not discovered the structure of consciousness within themselves can believe that the structure of consciousness can be different within people. It's just a belief. It's not true. Then the way of things. The way of things is fascinating because the way of things are just the way that structure is unfolding in a beautiful, natural way. Harmonic, beautiful, natural way. That's the way of things. You cannot break that structure. As soon as you break that structure, you're going to the darkness again. What does that mean? That it is the most powerful structure, by the way, because it has like this most inevitability force. It's super powerful. But you have to allow the way of things. What does that mean? It means, for example, like if you look at the cosmos and the way the stars move in relationship with another, and sometimes when all the stars align, and something opens up. Now, if you look at this, you'll see that so this has to go 2 more rounds, and this one has to go 2 more rounds, and only when that clockwork clicks perfectly, then it's going to happen. Manifestation is going to come through. So when you see that is going on, you're not saying why isn't it coming yet? Because you can see it is about to, and as soon as everything going to click into place, that's the way of things. You see, in the ego world, in that manifesting from the ego world, people want it now. People want a specific thing. People want a lot of specific things. They don't trust the way of things, and so they use the dark way of manifesting. As long as the energy is supplied, it works. Okay, that's not ultimately genuine manifestation. That manifestation will not have beauty, will not have feelings of beauty. It will just be empty, and you will have to, artificially, keep on trying to imbue life through the Luciferian way, whatever, right? This is where I'm not interested. I'm not impressed with anybody being successful in this way. In fact, my life's work is to keep on taking that energy away and away from the matrix. And all these people who try to get away with their ego tantrums are no longer can get away with, just because of they take the energy out. And I'm not there to stop them from doing it, but I'm just draining their energy of the ego itself, so then it's not working anymore. So it's like somebody may be drinking alcohol to feel good, then they drink alcohol, it doesn't make them feel good anymore, and then that's when they would stop. You see, it's because the energy there is no longer supplied. So that's the way it is. It's not direct. If you go there and try to control things, don't work. This is why I just remained focused on, okay, as long as I keep on alchemy, as long as I keep on taking the energy away from the ego, contributing to the soul, growing my soul, shrinking the ego. I'm talking about the entire thing, not my, it's like I said, I want to be very clear. It's not my ego. It's not your ego. I see everything as just one thing. But I also see that there's energy of the ego and energy of the soul. And I'm trying to take all that energy of the ego and weave the rainbows in the soul. And externally, if it is necessary for external discipline as well. And that is just saying no to things. You say okay, why come to this event like do this ceremony, with us and whatnot. The answer is no, thank you. You know, and every single time I know somebody who's been like in a very beautiful energy, and they went to these ceremonies, they came back ugly. And even as I was talking to them, I could feel this darkness, But of course, I alchemize everything, and it doesn't affect me. But anyway, that's just what I'm trying to tell you, that anything spiritual in a group setting is a dark type of ritual. It also have to say humility and humiliation are the opposite things. And all these type of, they're gonna try to humiliate you. And even if you like try to say that like no, then they're gonna try to make you feel like you're like egotistic or whatever, right? But you may have your own soul, and you say like no, this is not the right way, doesn't feel right. It feels like surrendering my soul, and I'm not gonna surrender my soul ever. This is the most precious thing. Don't give a shit if you try to guilt me into this, and you try to project that I'm some sort of toxic masculine, whatever. In your heart, in your soul, that structure is not toxic masculine. That is the true masculine, because you worked on it, you've been through hell for it, and you're not gonna give it away to anybody. And that is how you protect that heart, through your energy, through your attention. And if it's necessary to say something, you say something. Okay? But if you notice, they're always going to try to humiliate you somehow. Like ayahuasca, like make you vomit, make you feel all this, shit your pants and whatever. It's a humiliation ritual. It's absolutely unnecessary. You can smoke DMT. In 5 minutes, you'll receive everything that you have received, and like shitting your pants for 4 hours. And they also will have rules. These rules will humiliate you. They call it humble you, but it's not. It's to humiliate you. This is why don't go. Humility is nothing more than alchemy. Because to be truly humble is not be weak. It's just that you're no longer egocentric. You're soul-centric. Does that make sense? It's not weakness. This is why it's very important to notice that. Never go to any social gatherings, retreats, and groups. And this is why I want to create an event that is based on art, an invitation-only event, which is dancing, music, dancing, DJing, that type of, celebration event, not ceremony, celebration. So the people who are tired of all that nonsense, it could come and have a good time. And that's just the only way of me contributing something to creativity and enjoyment and playfulness. And right now, I'm pretty much by myself, fighting for that energy. But I'm learning. This is like the perpetual learning process. You're sort of perpetually innocent and perpetually wise simultaneously. And it's a beautiful place to be. And that is true humility. It has nothing to do with the words. It's a state of consciousness. And it's not weak. This is why, and I think another word, like another word I think it was in the Bible or something, like the meek, they will inherit the earth. Such a bad word for it. It's almost the weak will inherit it. No, it's not meek. It's pure, or resilient, I should even say. Soulful. holistic. That's what they should say. These words are better words than meek. That's who's going to inherit the earth. They're not going to be. I mean, these people are not weak. They're very strong. They're absolutely resilient, unmovable. Like, that's the true masculine energy. Okay, so as a man, always protect your stones. This is your stone. This is your family jewels. And you protect it with your attention, an alchemical process. And no matter what's trying to take you away, no matter how much it burns, no matter how much it's painful, you stay there and you fight for it. That's going to be the biggest fight and the most return on investment worthy fight that you'll ever do. And things around you may come in the very seductive forms. It's like, oh, put your attention here. Give me energy here. Give me energy this. Like, or like, oh, you're not this. You're not a gentleman. Or like, I don't really like the flowers you gave me. Or whatever the fuck, Dude. And I hope men who are alchemizing and discovering the true masculine, the true essence, understand the demonic side of women. Okay? And why they were there. Okay, there's another thing. Another thing I want to say about this, the way of things, is that you may say, like, well, what if the woman is like that, but if I just stay with her all the time and I alchemize it, then she's gonna be freed. Like, I can save the girl, right? Because it does appear that Philosopher's Stone is acquired first, and because of the Philosopher's Stone, then the love can exist. The light comes first, and because of the light, love can exist. So in a way, this is why the Jesus called Savior, because first he has to save himself, and then he can save another. But the second thing that he saves is not just random thing. The second thing he saves after saving himself is love, innocence. He can protect it now. So he does that. And then that's the story of the cosmology. And then after that, there's a creative and playful process that's going on, because the galaxy has not been born yet unless this neutron star and this black hole unite. And neutron star can save the black hole for being just a void and turn into the beautiful galaxy, like a flower. This is why, like, if you look at the galaxies, you can also see it's like a flower. Okay? But if the black hole does not find its neutron star, then it's just a void. You see what I'm trying to say? It's death itself. But I think that every neutron star has a counterpart of the black hole. I don't know if the story, I think the story is about whenever the neutron star is born, whenever the black hole is born, then they're going to reunite. There's a problem. I mean, there could be the problem that the black hole will never be born, or the neutron star will never be born. And then you may say, well, maybe they will never meet as well. That's another bad outcome of the story. That may be so. I don't know. Like, this is somebody who knows astrophysics a lot could tell me if those two sometimes do not meet. Which that would not be the creation of the galaxy. But we are interested in creating and playing, which means we are interested in creating of the galaxy, which means that we're not abandoning the innocence and the love after discovering Philosopher's Stone. Because after discovering the Philosopher's Stone, you can use it, but if you do it without love, you can get a lot of things, I suppose, with it. but it's just gonna be corrupted very quickly, I think. And it's no longer going to be Philosopher's Stone. That's why I don't think Philosopher's Stone is fully complete unless it's merged with the black hole. Okay? So, right. So that's the thing. I've noticed this in people, not just women, but in people. But because I've been, relationships that are closely related, closely intimate, is usually with women. That's why like that thing appears stronger. This is what I've noticed. Again, don't quote me on this, but this is what I've been observing. If it's going to consistently appearing, I think that may be so. It may not be belief, but the way of things. It may be the truth. It's just the way things are. Does that make sense? It's very important. So, and I think the way things are is that each single person may be on somewhere on the development scale. And if they've not crossed a certain threshold yet, they will act as a catalyst to you, a chemical catalyst, but they will not turn. Does that make sense? Even if you successfully temporarily, turn them and now they are like in the bubble of love, if they go by themselves and go through a couple of sleep cycles or whatever, they're going to turn back online again. And then when they turn them back online again, they will feel like the ego will feel like, damn, like we've been violated, right? Because I was weak and vulnerable there for a second. Let's fuck this nigger up now. And so this is why you may sometimes feel that the response of, making a woman safe and protected and vulnerable for a second and in love comes back as hate and attack. And then you try to do it all over again, and it will never end because that person is not yet gone through one of the phases of development. Once that person goes through that phase of development, then at least there's something different that happens. There might be hesitation there. There might be some inhibition because it's natural. We live in this type of world. But there's a specific type of openness that's going to be there. And that openness is enough for the person not to regress back into this type of way. Does that make sense? It's because they no longer are willing to defend the dark side. This is what I've noticed. It's something about the stages of development. You see? And this is why I stopped. I used to think that I have to save this woman. And even with the alchemy, even with all this capacity of energy, I realized that no, you can't. There has to be certain readiness. A woman should already be extending hand to you, right? You don't cross this line. You don't cross this line because it's a trap. Does that make sense? So there's some women maybe pretending that they need to be saved, but they really just want your energy. And some women really are done and they truly want to live from the heart. And the women who are like that, like dark, or that still they're not done with the darkness, use them as a catalyst, use them as for the alchemy, but do not get into any kind of romantic close relationships with them, because your sexual openness is from where this attack can come. So you have no sexual openness to these women, but you're still there in case they want to talk or whatever. You're still friendly, but they're not allowed in your inner sanctum. Okay, because you are protecting your heart, because you see what I'm trying to say. And you get in a romantic relationships with women only with the ones that already at a later phase, so to speak. And that may not be throughout life. It may be what kind of soul incarnated in this life. It may be that this type of soul incarnated for 20 years, then had that openness, and the next 20 years they were looking for something, for the real way out, and then they meet somebody, and and that's the real way out. That can happen as well. But often I see the people that they never done with this dark side. In their 40s, they still play that dark side. I was like, I guess we're done here. This will never be love, because they're allergic to it. So it seems like that. It's the way of things. It's not anything fixed in stone, and I say like all women like that, all men like that. It's just saying that like there appears to be so. It appears to be that everybody on some stage of development, and you cannot change the state. You cannot speed up. Well, you can catalyze it. This is what I said. Like you can be the catalyst. Like if somebody who's like this and playing darkness, you're alchemizing the dark energy, and so that may speed up their development. It may not immediately like turn them, but they speed up their development, and so they may have, for example, messed around for many more years, but that expires sooner for them, and now they have to turn back and become genuinely open for the real, and understanding that selective openness, sometimes I call it that. It's very important to be selectively open, that yes, there's lots of false masculine, but there's a real masculine, and then there's like, I'm not going to open to any kind of false masculine anymore because I've been there, but I am going to be open to the real masculine. And because I do this in my heart, I will meet the man who's like that also, because there is no, disembodied entities, and as long as, sometimes people believe in them and all that stuff, but really everything is connected. Everything is like, it's people. Okay, it's people. It is I really don't like having these types of imaginary friends, so to speak, unless they're real and not based on the belief. And it usually is an actual being and not just a belief structure. Okay? So what am I saying here? It's just the way of things. And the way of things are the way of things, and you don't try to change the way of things. And that allows you to be a white magician, and allows you to create without breaking. Like, for example, if this primordial principle is God, and it creates the system, and then incarnates as one of the players, the system that it created, incarnates as one of the players to challenge himself and to play the game that he created, would he want to break that game now? Would he want to break the laws of physics if he created laws of physics? Why the fuck would you want to do that? See, that's why like all of this trickery magic, or like, look at me, I can bend a spoon, this is all just childish waste of time. Of course that entity would not want to break it, because you created these things. Why wouldn't I fucking break it? It wouldn't have a deep knowing that the way of things are that you don't have to break them. They can arrive elegantly and unstoppably. So to me, this is like this. Oh, somebody can break laws of physics and whatever, It's like I'm not impressed. You don't have to break laws of physics. Like, even if you're talking about the 0 point energy, you're not breaking the laws of physics. Laws of physics permit the 0 point. It's just the quantum is real. That's it. Nobody's breaking the laws of physics there. And the reason I'm saying that is that And it's usually that, you see, the white magic. Ah, look at this. White magic always has plausible deniability. It's fascinating. The true miracle always has plausible deniability. It's so elegant that you could always have plausible deniability that happened just because of this. Because your mind comes in and creates a story, oh, it must have happened because of this, right? And then you have a memory that was definitely not there. That was definitely not there. You have a memory, but then your mind comes in like, well, maybe you just forgot, and then you just settle in and say like, oh, maybe I just forgot. But ninja miracles, those are the true miracles. We must have plausible deniability. And they're not done to show off. They're not done as a display of power. Okay? So there. There is a soul masculine and there is a soul feminine, which is immovable object and unstoppable force. And that's that. And we need to grow. And it does appear that there is a development. Some people say that, oh, there isn't. You just go to this. There is a development. You grow as a man and you grow as a woman, but not because you're striving with the mind and like improving yourself. This thing is developing itself as long as you give it right awareness, right attention. It's growing by itself. And it stops growing if you don't give it attention anymore. So you take care that your soul is growing as long as you're giving it attention and let it grow. And the process of growth, this feels really good. Okay? So that's the process of growing in your heart. And then there's a process of learning. That's the static memory. You always have to change the memory a little bit to learn new skill and things like that, right? Everything in its right place. And that's when you have that flower. You have in the center, which is a perfume. Perfume obviously arises in the center, and then you have a leaves, which is a structure, which is your skills. And that is a complete flower. Everything placed in the right place. Nothing is abolished or, unfinished. Everything is holistic. Everything must have its own place. So there. And of course, from the feminine perspective as well, the selective openness. Like maybe I'll make a video about how that structure of consciousness works, how the pattern of light and the memory of reflection is that true masculine and true feminine, and how a certain type of pattern of light that a man spreads, and if it's like a belief based, it's going to be quite ugly, and but if a woman is kind of open to that, she's going to be conditioned, programmed to that bullshit that the man believes in. You see, and then eventually a woman gains their own intuitive wisdom and understand that there is something that is real, something that is false, and she closes to the false and only opens to the real, and then she receives these beautiful patterns and starts blooming correctly. Because if she keeps on looking at these Luciferian false light patterns, she's going to be blooming ugly. And there are these types of ugly flowers, which is the feminine in the belief system. I don't consider that blooming at all, you know. And this is usually all these women who are just like spiritually powerful, you know, and but they as they're only spiritually powerful in the belief system. In truth, they have no power, and they shit their pants. It's like, oh the fuck, all my existence is useless right now because there's a realization that there's something that is true that exists, and I can only blow smoke in certain people mind, and in certain people mind I cannot blow smoke anymore because I'm limited, and the ego cannot stand it, and gonna self-destruct. That's how powerful it is, this philosopher's stone. That's how important it is. And the more faith you have in it, the less outside movements will affect it. And that's the important part. These things may still happen, like these criticisms, these all sorts of trying to take your confidence, they may still happen, but you remain on your throne, and eventually there's movement outside, but there's just complete stillness within yourself. And it really does not touch you there. And that's an amazing place to be. And if a woman is doing her best to take you out of your center, then she's going to be a good catalyst, but she's not going to be your wife. I can tell you that. Because it appears that like good catalyst still has few development stages behind for them to actually genuinely want to be liberated and free. They're usually more directed towards darkness. And they're there for the catalyst and not for the resonance. Anyway, hopefully that helps. And yeah, I do have a lot of friends in my life who are catalysts. They're more acquaintances than friends, but I don't try to change them because they're great catalysts. I let them be catalysts. And of course, I have people who resonate with me, and I don't have to change them because they already are, you know, genuine and free and authentic. Why would I change them? I don't want. You see what I'm trying to say? So there you go. I would like to perhaps help to create their dreams, blossom their, you know, reality, becoming more creative and playful, and that process of blossoming, which is a type of growth and development and learning, I would like to help them with that. But that's not trying to change them from the ego to the soul. Because ego will always try to convert soul to the dark side. And soul at the beginning tries to convert ego to the light side. But then essentially you get to the level of wisdom when you realize, oh, that's just a stupid waste of energy. Use it as a catalyst and resonate with the people that are already on the side of the soul. And everything's going to be all right. All right? All right. Cheers. Peace. See you. Oh, that's what's up. That's better. Peace. And I'll see you in the next one.